Hello, and welcome to the Disney Fantasy. I'm here with my family 5 nights, and I'm going to take you around to see everything there is on the ship, what there is to do, what there is to eat, and we're also going to visit both of Disney's private islands. So I can't wait to show you around. Let's go.
We're the Albanese family, and we were Orlando locals for 2 years until 6 months ago we moved to Ohio, and this is our first Disney vacation back since we moved. The whole process, you drop off your luggage here at the curb, and this is where you're going to get your magic bands linked and your passports checked, and then you get onto the ship. Everything went very quickly, very seamlessly. And there she is. We're on the Disney Fantasy. Right away, it's a core memory moment because they announce your family onto the ship when you get to the atrium.
Disney Fantasy, please welcome for the Albanese family!
Right when you enter the ship, you are in the atrium, and this is kind of the heartbeat of the ship. Each ship is decorated and themed differently here. The Fantasy is very Art Deco, characters that are just roaming around, and official meet and greet characters. As soon as we got on the ship, Cinderella greeted our family, which was very magical, and then we went over to our room. This is our first time having a balcony on a cruise ship, and it was a game changer to be able to see the ocean. We decorated our door Star Wars themed with some special magnets, which is definitely a thing on Disney Cruise Line, is to have these fish extenders where you can pixie dust different people and to decorate your door if you want to. A lot of people did, and some people really went all out. And my kids made friendship bracelets, and they got lots of things in their fish extenders like candy and stickers and little tokens, and it was just a really fun kind of community building activity right when we got on board. So something unique to Disney Cruise Line is their split bathroom, and it has a tub, so if you have little kids, you can still do bath time. The bathtub is separate from the toilet. Here's our closet storage. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do an amazing job filming our room because I did one of those, I thought I was recording and didn't. So here's what it looks like at nighttime. This bunk is something that your room attendant takes down for you and sets up at night. During the day when you're out of the room, they put it up again so it's not in your way. You also have this heavy blackout curtain, which was really nice. We could have lights on and be in the bathroom on our side of the room and keep it dark for the kids. Now, I have been on 2 previous Disney cruises, and so I was familiar with the very first kind of activity that you do is this sail away party, and it's really fun. There are characters, there's music, there's this little dance scene, and it's the first time they blow their horn, and I was pumped, and my kids were not. They were like, this is too loud, we want to leave. So first lesson, be ready to adjust your expectations. So the Oceaneer Club is on every Disney Cruise Line ship, but they have slightly different themed areas and offerings. On the Fantasy, you have Pixie Hollow, you have the Star Wars area where you have flight simulators and different activities set up. Okay, please give it up for the world's tiniest, most adorable toilet. Both Sophie and I were so delighted by this bathroom, and they have the little Pixar ball on top that lights up when they're occupied, but they're not all that small. They have these areas to watch movies. There's an Imagineering area, there's an animation area, and so there's lots of different activities that are being led in different areas throughout the day. It's all going to be listed on your Disney Navigator app, and so you can kind of choose if you want your kids to do an activity or not. Sometimes they had Thor leading an activity here in the Marvel area on being worthy. They had C-3PO come to the Star Wars area, so there's characters coming throughout the day and leading different activities for your kid. It is honestly so cool, and I wish I could have done it. So my kids are 10 and 11, and so my 11-year-old could not do the Oceaneer Club. She was here in Edge, and actually they would let my younger son, who's 10, come to Edge, but they won't let the older kids come down, and I think it's just because there's a huge difference between a 3-year-old and 11-year-old, and they really want to protect the younger kids. They had lots of group-led activities here as well. They had some video game battles. They participated in a flash mob. My kids didn't, but other kids did. They had foosball, and so it was a really fun space for older kids. On every Disney Cruise Line ship, there are 3 main dining rooms, and you're going to rotate between them. You have the Enchanted Garden, you have this Royal Court, which you could see is stunning, and the menu is more fine dining, and they had these beautiful mosaics of classic princess movies like Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and the Animator's Palette is a really fun dining room where there's all of this ephemera that has to do with animating and these huge screens that are interactive. On the first night, there was kind of what was like Turtle Talk with Crush, where Crush would interact with you during your meal. The second night that we had here was Pirate Night, and so I'll talk a little bit more about Pirate Night later, but you get assigned these dining rooms. You will rotate between all 3, and your servers will rotate with you throughout the cruise, so you'll get to experience everyone at least once, but some of them more than once, and the menu changes. So here we have the Enchanted Garden restaurant. It is designed to look like an arboretum in Versailles. I think the theming is fine. Did I feel like I was in Versailles? No. It was giving a little bit more Las Vegas, but it was still cute. The flowers on the ceiling slowly throughout the night, the lighting dims and it becomes more like twilight. They have little twinkle lights on the ceiling like fireflies, and the flowers slowly start to open up. It honestly sounds a little cooler than it was. I thought it was fine. It was cute. Our food here on the first night was okay. The second night we ate here, it was awesome. That tuna tartare was maybe my favorite thing I ate on the ship. Another one of the rotational dining experiences you'll have is at the Royal Court. This menu is French themed, and this is supposed to be one of the more upscale dining experiences you'll have on your cruise. Every night there is a different kids menu, and it's something that they can color and play with and draw. And actually, I thought my kids were a little old for this, and they loved it. It really kept them entertained in the beginning of each meal. They looked forward to their menu. Your kids can, of course, order off the adult menu. This is a look at the food that we had. I thought it was really good, and this steak was awesome. The potatoes were a little bit bland, but all in all, everything we had was pretty tasty. We weren't super blown away by the desserts here, but the ambience is cute. I got a Shirley Temple every night, and every night my server just brought it to me after the first night, and I love that. My kids were really looking forward to the Animator's Palette, and it is a really fun space. I love all the bookshelves and figures and the decor of this restaurant in general. This steak, again, was bangin'. It was one of my favorite meals on the cruise ship. We also had our Pirate Night here, which was a totally different menu, but the menu is the same in every dining room. No matter where you are for Pirates Night, it's the same menu. The kids menu here doubled as a pirate hat, which, I mean, so cute, right? It was really great that we got lucky and got to have the Animator's Palette here, because you can see they really changed the theming and the decor on the screens to make the night more festive. Obviously, they can't do that in every restaurant. If you can order this hot fudge brownie, it has cookie dough in the center, and it was my favorite dessert of all of the desserts, and it wasn't even on the adult menu. So those are the table service restaurants, and there is a big buffet, of course, on the ship, and that is Cabanas. On the Fantasy, it's kind of Finding Nemo theme, and you have this really cool mosaic and artwork, and the food was fine. Honestly, it had a little bit of everything. There was nothing in the buffet that blew us away. This is just a little look at the decor. They had these castles from all the Disney parks and palm trees, and they had the little seagulls from Finding Nemo, and it was your standard buffet. It was a little bit hit or miss. The chicken tenders and the macaroni and cheese you kind of can't go wrong with. Everything else, it just is what it is. Some of the dining rooms are open for a seated breakfast or lunch, and so you can choose to do that as well. Just takes a lot of time and is like a whole process of something you have to do, and so we mostly grabbed food here. I don't really eat crab legs, and neither does my husband, but they were a big hit. Breakfast obviously is the easiest meal of the day. Who doesn't love waffles and croissants? This was a home run every time. My kids loved going up there for breakfast. There's also this Flo's V8 Cafe, which were little windows out by the pool deck where you could grab pizza. There was usually some kind of hot sandwich of the day, like there was a Philly cheesesteak on one day. And there's also this window where you could get fresh fruit, wraps, salads, and paninis. And the paninis were made to order, which was really nice. And of course, you can't talk about the cruise without talking about the self-serve, soft serve ice cream. A huge upgrade from other cruise lines is that there's different flavors. There was blueberry and mango and pineapple and banana, and they changed a little bit throughout the cruise. And who doesn't love checking to see what flavor ice creams you have? There was also this Frozone smoothie option that you could pay additional for, and this Mickey and Minnie, it kind of felt like a soda shop, but they had lots of little treats you could get, cupcakes, macaroons, Rice Krispie treats, and they also had a lot of ice cream and gelato. We did try the gelato on one day for science. There are a couple of cafes on board. Coffee is included and available on the decks and in cabanas, but if you want a specialty coffee, I highly recommend the salted caramel coconut latte, and you can get a Disney picture on it, and who doesn't want that? There are cases in the cafes where they have little treats and little baked goods, and they are included. So if you want to stop by and grab one of those, there's no charge. And a little tip, at dinner time, they actually change those out for cheese and olives if you're looking for a before dinner snack. As I said, unlike other cruise lines, there are fountain drinks and coffee that are available on deck 24/7 that are self-serve. Let's talk about the adults-only areas on the ship, and it's called Europa. This is my daughter just realizing this part of the ship exists. Now, during the day, it is not truly adults-only, and there's a lot of activities that happen here that families are welcome to do together. For instance, in this area, they were having a silent DJ dance party for families. They had crafts in other areas, and so it's not until 8 p.m. that it truly becomes adults only. There's a whole range of activities that happen during the day. They have champagne tasting and wine tasting and whiskey tasting, and they have trivias, and so this area of the ship is used for more than adults only until nighttime, and after 8 p.m. it is adults only. We didn't spend a lot of time in Europa, and let me just explain why. Number one is we're just not huge drinkers, but also our kids are old enough, and at Edge, you don't sign them in or out. They can come and go as they please, and I kind of worried that if we were in one of the lounges and our kids wanted us or needed us, they wouldn't be able to find us down in this adult-only part of the ship. The other thing is kind of painted by my experience sailing on the Disney Treasure in December, which is Disney's newest cruise ship, and the lounges on the Treasure were so cool and so Disney. And on the Fantasy, that is just not the case. The lounges theming feels totally random. There's nothing really Disney about them. There's nothing that interesting to me personally about them. There was a lounge that was themed after. It's supposed to look like a carousel, but it's not. There's a champagne bar, there was a sports bar, and just none of those things were really for me. And so we just didn't spend a lot of time here. You could be totally different, and you do you. D-Lounge is a space on board where you're gonna have a lot of group family-friendly activities like trivia. They did a lot of different animation classes, and it's just a multi-purpose space for activities. There are 2 theaters on the Fantasy, and both of them were showing new releases. So during the time of recording, Moana 2 and Mufasa are both still in theaters, but they were playing on the Fantasy. The atrium really serves as another multi-purpose space on the ship where there's usually a lot of activity going on. Guest services is located right off the atrium. They also have activities. This Jack Jack diaper crawl, do not miss it. It was so fun. You'll also just see a lot of characters roaming around, especially before and after dinner times and in the evening. Off the atrium is also the big Walt Disney Theater where you're gonna see your live theater performances. This is one of my favorite things about Disney Cruise Lines, and they are super popular. So you can see this is about 20 minutes before before showtime, and people start lining up before they open the doors. There are 2 shows a night, and you go to the one that's opposite your dinner, but there's still limited space, especially if you have a large group that wants to sit together. Now, there's no recording or filming allowed during the performances. You can take a little video like these during the cast call, but you're not supposed to record during the actual show. So I cannot show you my favorite part of the cruise.
We just watched the Frozen show, and you can't tell my makeup is a mess. I always cry during the shows just because they're so good, and seeing these shows live on the ship is definitely like one of the best and unique parts of sailing on Disney Cruise Line.
Another one of my favorite activities is the character dance party. It is so fun. The characters come down and you can just hang out and dance with them. There's one character that's kind of on stage like that, but the other characters are just positioned in different places around the ballroom. You can make your way around, and it's just such a rare opportunity to not have it be a meet and greet that feels kind of like a pressured 2 minutes, and you're just hanging out dancing with Mickey, and who doesn't want that? There are lots of opportunities to meet characters on the ship, and their schedules are all going to be listed in the app. And if you're on either of Disney's islands, there are characters, but also on the ship, especially in the morning and in the evenings before and after dinner and after the shows. But the lines can be kind of long. You can see Mickey Mouse has quite a line there to meet Captain Mickey, but there's always roaming characters. So you can see up on the 3rd floor, you have Belle in her ball gown just walking around. And so we found pretty quickly that it was a better bet. If there's characters that are meeting in the atrium, there's also going to be characters walking around for you to run into. There's a Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique on board, and it is free anytime, whether you're in the parks or on the ship, to get pixie dusted. And on Pirate Night, the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique is taken over by the Pirate League, and you can get a pirate makeover. And this is also the only time an adult can visit the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique if you want to. Of course, there are pools and water activities on the ship. You have 2 water slides, this smaller one that has a Mickey Mouse hand. There's also this Nemo's Reef splash area for really little kids. There's a tiny little slide in there, and it's all enclosed, so you don't have to worry about your child running away. Thank you, Disney. There's this little pool splash area, and it actually has cutouts, and you can look down to the ocean from inside this tiny little splash pool. And these 2 main pools, this one was really popular, that's in front of the Funnel Vision TV, where there's always a Disney movie playing, and the one on the other side as well. There are life jackets on board if you want your kids to wear one. And there's also, of course, the Aqua Duck. The Aqua Duck is that iconic water slide that you can see right when you look at the ship, and it goes around and you get a really cool view of the ocean when you're riding it. On the deck, there is a family zone, an area that is made just for families. And also there's an adult-only area above deck. There is a swim-up bar as well as a sports bar. There's lots of comfortable and more upscale places to lounge, seating, have a drink, have a snack, have your coffee, and have some peace and quiet. And we did hang out here a bit while our kids were in the kids club, but again, should they need us, they would not be able to enter, and so we always kind of felt that pressure that we couldn't hang out here that long, and that's just what it's like cruising with little kids. What can I say? On deck 4, there is a walking deck. It's really beautiful to just be able to walk around the deck. There is also a sports area, and I tried like hell not to let my kids know there was virtual reality sports inside there, and we did not do it because it was an extra charge and I didn't want to. The mini golf was included though, so they got to do that. And the last activity I'm going to talk about is this detective game. You could go anytime and sign up to be a junior detective, and there was a mystery on the ship that took you around to different portraits and artwork, and you had to solve a mystery. There's 2 editions. We're doing the Muppets one. This is Pepe the King Prawn's door. If you didn't know, now you know. Pepe the King Prawn is on the Disney Fantasy. Now, let's talk about Disney's islands. We intentionally booked this itinerary because it visited both. This is Disney's newest island, Lookout Cay, and you can see here when you come up to Lookout Cay, you're parking on a big pier, and the first time guests experience this island, there was much ado about the pier. It is a half a mile long. When you get off the ship, there are strollers available as well as wagons, and there's also golf carts for guests with mobility issues. It can take 10 to 15 minutes to walk, but when you get to the end, somebody's gonna hand you a cold towel, and how nice is that? So now that you're off the pier, you're gonna take a tram ride unless you booked one of these family cabanas, then you're home. But for everybody else, you're getting on this tram and taking another 10 to 15 minute tram ride. So that does mean from the time you get off the ship, it can take 20 to 30 minutes, let's say 25 minutes to finally get to the Lighthouse Point beach area. And when you get here, there are some stores. You're gonna walk this network of boardwalks to get anywhere, to get to the beach, to get to the eating, to get to the kids club. And the boardwalks were built with conservation in mind to make as little impact to this island as possible, which is part of Disney's agreement with the island government. Now, it is still Disney. There are characters that you can meet on the island, and there's also a kids area. There is this rush out, gush out splash pad that has a couple of water slides and water play. And there's also a kids club option here. You can check your kids into Sebastian's Cove. There's this play pavilion where they have different activities that you'll find again on the app. Sebastian's Cove is for the Oceaneers Club. That is for ages 3 to 10, and they can get lunch there. Lookout Cay is just that quintessential, unspoiled beach. It really lacks that commercial feel of some other cruise line private islands. There's native flora, there's art classes, there's sculptures by local artists. There's music by musicians on the island, and so this island just has a completely different flavor than the other island we're going to visit, Castaway Cay. Here is the Goombay Cultural Center where you can learn about the culture on the island. You can do some arts and crafts. There is a festival on the island called Junkanoo, and you will get to participate in this Junkanoo festival. You can make your own headpiece if you want to. There's music, there are characters, but really at the center is the culture of Eleuthera and the Bahamas, and it's a really fun celebration. Once there's this little performance here, you are invited to join in on the parade, and it makes its way back through the boardwalks to kind of the center where you're dropped off on the tram. You can get pictures and videos taken with the people in the parade, and it's just a really good time. Now, is your food included at Lookout Cay? And the answer is you bet. Of course, you get this all-inclusive feeling when you're on a cruise, and there's 2 main buffet areas. There is the True Barbecue and the True 2 Barbecue. Whoever named these, why, but that's what it is. And the menus here are identical, so you can pick whichever one is closest to you. They have kind of your classic fare. There's burgers and hot dogs and french fries, but they also have some fun additions. There's seafood, there are these rice bowls, there's kind of this curry dish, there's some food from the island, there's roasted corn, there's lots of different kinds of salads and coleslaws. The ribs were incredible, and this was definitely one of my favorite meals on the cruise, hands down. And on this island, in contrast to Castaway Cay, you're going to be using real cups and plates. And again, this is Disney's commitment to the island. This is a zero waste island. And so you're getting real silverware, you're getting a china plate. Now, there is an eatery at the adults only area. And the only thing I will say is that I did not see these yuca fries at the True Barbecue. And so that's the only difference I could find. So there might be some slight variations. And when I went over during lunchtime, they were having a band play, so it was a little bit of a different vibe here at the adults only area. Maybe a few slightly different food offerings, but mostly not. This is the bar in the adults only area, and I will say, as far as the beach is concerned, the beach was much less crowded. Makes sense, it's a Disney cruise, it's mostly families. As far as activities on the island, you can rent snorkel gear. There are different excursions you can do. We didn't do any of that, and we brought our own snorkels. You do still have to wear one of Disney's vests when you snorkel on either island for visibility. But what is nice about Lookout Cay is that there is coral reef very close to shore. You don't have to swim out very far, so this is very ideal for our beginner snorkels. We also didn't bring our fins because we wanted to save space, but we were able to see a lot of fish. The coral reef is a little bleached. This is not like the Great Barrier Reef. This is not going to be world-class snorkeling, but it was still really fun for our kids to see these fish, and the water again is just super crystal clear. All of the kiosks here in this Treasures of Eleuthera are people that live on selling their souvenirs. Some of them have a Disney touch, which is really fun. There is, of course, also a Disney gift shop. There is exclusive merch to the island. There's pins, there's spirit jerseys, there's ears, there's lounge flies, there's plushes, there's everything you would expect that is exclusive to Lookout that you can only get on the island and is not available in the gift shops on the ship. When you go back, of course, you're going to do the whole process in reverse. So it's going to be about another half an hour between the tram ride and walking on the pier back to the ship. And again, when you get to the end of the pier, you're going to be handed a cold towel and even a glass of fruit water, which is just so lovely. Every Disney cruise is going to have a pirate night, and when you get to your room in the afternoon, you will get these fun bandanas. And if you want to take it up a step, you can visit the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which has been taken over by the Pirate League, and they have several different packages. You won't find princess dresses and prince attire in the boutique on this day. It is only pirates. I bought my son's Disney Cruise Line pirate outfit on Mercari, and I just had them do the makeup. You'll also see that the characters are decked out for Pirate Night, and there are some special characters. You can meet Captain Hook and Smee, you can meet Pirate Mickey, and you can also meet Jack Sparrow. We were back at the Animator's Palette, which was just lucky because it gets a big transformation out of all the dining areas. Now, there are two shows that happen in the evening. We didn't see the first one that has more of the classic characters like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy. That one happens earlier. There is a show that ends with fireworks at sea. This one begins at 10:15, and this is a good time to bring up. Staying up till 10:15 is still pretty hard for my kiddos. You can see my son is just barely hanging on. I've seen a few of the different Pirate Night shows, and they've all been different so far, including this one. You can see Jack Sparrow makes quite an entrance. But there are some songs, there's some audience participation for kids down in the front. If you're facing the ship forward on the right-hand side of the stage, because I knew that's where the fireworks are gonna go off from. So if you want a good view of the fireworks, that's what I recommend. Even though it's not the closest to the stage, it's a little harder to see the fireworks from down there. Now, if you're used to the Disney Parks fireworks show, This is not it. It's much more modest, but it's still really fun and novel to see fireworks at sea. After the fireworks show, there was lots of dancing. This is when the teens did their flash mob. Again, why is there not an adult flash mob? I'm just asking for a friend. But by this time, it was way past my kids' bedtime. The next day, we woke up at Castaway Cay. If your room is located on the port side of the ship, you'll have a great view. Our kids were struggling by this point. The sleep deprivation was real, and we actually had to wake them up this morning around 10 o'clock and be like, I think we need to get up and start our day. And this turned out to be a huge mistake because one precious morning on every Disney cruise, there will be Mickey churro waffles. And it turned out that this was the morning and we had missed it. And I took 2 teary kids up, and some very kind cast member kindly produced Mickey churro waffles because we were just a few minutes after they closed. But wow, I almost really blew it there. As soon as we got off the boat, there were characters there. There is a tram that will take you to 2 different spots on the island, but you can really easily walk from the ship. And it's a really nice walk too because you get some great views of the back of this ship, and all of the Disney ships have a little character on the back. On the Fantasy, it's Dumbo. It's not a bad walk, and as soon as you get to the beach here, there's often a character here. Today we were greeted by Minnie Mouse, but it was a beautiful day and a beautiful walk. You can tell right away that the accessibility between Lookout Cay and Castaway Cay is unmatched here, and Castaway Cay is a lot more of a Disney-fied experience. It opened back in 1998, and so this island has been around for a while, and it really feels a lot like if you've ever visited Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach at Disney World. It feels like that, except there's just an ocean there. So the beach is very accessible, and all of the chairs and umbrellas are very close to the beach here, and it just created this ease for the day. There are youth activities on the island. Scuttle's Cove is the younger kids' oceaneer club. It's not quite as nice as the water play on Lookout Cay because that island is brand new, but there were activities for tweens and teens. You'll also find some Bahamian wares here and your classic Disney gift shop. Here's a look at the merch at Castaway Cay, and again, when you visit the islands, the merch on the islands is only available there. It's not in the gift shop on the boat, so if you want to get something from an island, you have to get it while you're there. Just like Lookout Cay, there are bars and 2 barbecues. There's a family beach and an adult beach. All of that is the same. There is this water play area, and so unlike Lookout Cay, the water play area was more of a splash pad situation. These water slides are in the ocean. I will say our cruise was in February and the ocean was cold, y'all. It was really cold. We still braved it, but just keep that in mind depending on when you're booking your cruise for. I went over to this Pelican bar to see a view of the beach, and oh my God, Hank, is that you? You guys remember Hank from Finding Dory? We decided to do a little excursion while we were on Castaway Cay, the Castaway Rays Stingray Adventure. This experience lets you feed and snorkel with stingrays in a large netted area just off the beach. They provide snorkel gear and vests, and before you get in the water, there's a quick info session about stingrays. So, fun fact, their barbs are trimmed regularly. It doesn't hurt them, so they can't sting you. But my favorite part is that they've trained the stingrays to eat off Mickey-shaped plates. When you head down to the beach, they have these special feeding tables where the stingrays swim up a ramp. When you see them approaching, you put the food on their little plate and they glide up and kind of slurp it up and give you a chance to pet them. The cast members know them all by name and will tell you fun facts about them. After you feed them for a while, you can snorkel around. There were about 50 stingrays in the area, so spotting them was not hard. The price for this was $64 for adults and $54 for kids. By this point, we had already braved the freezing water, so we decided to check out the main snorkeling area. Heads up, it's kind of a swim to get out there. We skipped renting snorkel gear and just brought masks, but we left our fins at home to save space. That was a big mistake. Let me tell you, I was dying by the time we get far enough out to see anything. But I pushed through because I knew, thanks to social media, that this wasn't just any ordinary reef. Disney had added some of their own flair to Under the Sea. As for the food, I found it pretty similar to Lookout Cay, though I think Lookout Cay had a bit more variety overall. They had more of those rice dishes. The fruit stand was a highlight. The mango and pineapple were super fresh, and of course, they have all-you-can-eat soft serve ice cream. This Olaf smoothie bar was adorable, but before we knew it, it was time to head back to the ship. Now, we visited both islands, and you might be wondering, well, which one is better? And honestly, they are two very different experiences. If you want an authentic cultural experience with stunning water, but a little more effort involved, go with Lookout Cay. If you prefer to stay in the Disney bubble with a bit more convenience, but without that feeling of being in another country, then Castaway Cay might be for you. That's my hot take. If we could only do one and we were doing it with kids, Castaway all day. If it was just me and my husband and it wasn't that big a deal to walk the pier, take the tram, we could navigate that easily, and the water is so beautiful, I would pick Lookout. Take that for what you will. This is just a quick look at some of the amenities. You'll probably find these on any cruise ship. There's a spa, which I didn't try, and a gym, which I only saw because I was wandering around to explore, let's be real. But if you're into that, it's there for you. The award for the cutest store name goes to... This is just a little shop that mostly sells pool essentials, but of course there is plenty of shopping on board, including exclusive merch for the specific ship you're on, everything from lounge flies to Spirit jerseys, and plenty of Disney Cruise Line souvenirs. These are just some things that caught my eye. But all good things must come to an end, and these 5 nights flew by. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you again real soon. Love you, bye.